Thanks for tuning in at Brackeys.
Hello everyone and welcome to video number 26 in the How to Make a 2D Platformer course. In today's video we're gonna have a look at adding some audio for our game. So we'll expand on the audio manager just a bit and we'll be adding a bunch of different sounds and music to make the game a lot more awesome. So let's just go ahead and get started. So you can see on my desktop here I have the 2D assets pack. You can download that from the Brackeys website, brackeys.com. Under any of the 2D courses there should be a free download link. And under the audio folder here I've gone ahead and added a bunch of different sounds. All of these are free to use. You can use them both commercially or non-commercially and share them any way you want. Credit to me is of course wonderful. I didn't make these sounds, I just gathered them. So you can see them here. Actually, some of them I made. And we also have a folder for music. We have this chill music, which is from the Make a Game course. You can go ahead and add that if you want. And we also have these two awesome tracks. And these are made by a very good friend of mine called Eigil Pock-Steen Jørgensen. And link to him is in the description, or his name or whatever. And you can see here, we have, if I just expand on the name here, we have the percussion space music. And I think we should just go ahead and have a listen to that. So just double click it here. So it's this very laid back and chill groove. And it has this very ambient feel, which I really like for the game. And we also have the relaxed space music. Also a very ambient feel, but this is without the groove. So if you want, this could be fine for a menu or maybe when the action isn't occurring. So you can of course choose between these, choose the one that you like the best. And yeah, cool. So some of the audio sounds or some of the sound clips here, you'll hear as we use them. So I'm not going to play all of those right now. So let's delve right into Unity here. And you can see I haven't changed anything since the last time. I think I've reversed everything back to normal because I tried to record this last week, and that was the reason why you didn't get a video last week, is because I recorded like an hour of material and well, the sound wasn't working, and that is not really good when you're making an episode about audio. So that was a real bummer, and it took me like 5 hours of wasted work or something. So, but it's hopefully working now, and everything should be reversed back to normal. So what I basically want to begin with here is create a bit more of an awesome audio manager. Because right now this is fine for a foundation, but what I want to do is I want to create this into a instance that will just transition or don't destroy whenever we load a new scene, so that we can have audio playing from the main menu directly over to the scene or other ways around. So if we change a scene, no matter where we begin, it will spawn in an audio manager, and when we then transition to a new scene, that audio manager will persist. So that's something that I have wanted to do for a while. To show you how to do for a while with some other stuff too. So I think we'll just begin with the audio manager here. So let's double click this to open it up in Visual Studio, and I'll show you what I mean. So the basic idea here is that so far we have had kind of the idea of a audio manager instance, and that's all fine and dandy, and we'll keep that. However, what we want to do is have an audio manager sit in every scene that we want to have audio in. And then we, in the awake method, we check if instance is not equal to null, meaning that if there's already something there, well then we want to check if the instance that is there is equal to this. And if it is not, well then what we want to do is simply destroy this object. So we're simply going to say destroy game object. So this will, you will need to have this audio manager sit on a separate object, or you're going to destroy other scripts with it too. I'm just going to make this very apparent. but you could of course just go ahead and disable it or something like that. I'm just going to completely remove the object so that you won't get confused. And then else, we set the instance equal to this, and we want to flag this as a don't destroy and load. So we simply call the don't destroy and load method, and we input this. I don't think that needs to be of type GameObject. And what this will basically do is it will tell Unity whenever we change to a new scene, don't destroy this object, just take it into the new scene as is. Cool. So that was kind of the first thing that I wanted to change here. And this will allow us to take this component, copy it, then remove it. And let's create a new object, Control-Shift-N. Let's make or name this as an audio manager and just drag it up here. Reset the transform, and we're going to paste the component as new here. And what we can then do is take this, make it into a prefab, hop into our main menu, and then drag the audio manager up there. So now we have a prefab instance in both cases. And if you notice here, if we start in the main menu scene, the audio manager is here when we then hit play, and it transitions to the new scene. Well, for some reason, there's also an audio manager there now. So it looks like I've made some kind of error here. Let's go back into the awake. If instance is not equal to null, so if there's already something there, and if instance is equal to this, that should be if it's not equal to this. And there we go. So if we hit play again and play there, you can see that there's now only one audio manager in here, and that is the audio manager from the first scene. The other one noticed that there was a new audio manager from the older scene and therefore just destroyed itself. It wasn't needed. Good. So that is kind of the good way to do it, and frankly something we should have done from the very beginning. Next up, I think we should begin by adding in a music track, because if there's something that really makes your game feel a lot more awesome and adds some audio depth to the game, well, it's music. And also it's nice to kind of theme some of your sounds around the music that you're playing. So let's go into the music folder, and I'm going to take the percussion space music and drag it into the audio folder in Unity. Come on. Drag, please. For some reason, that isn't dragging, so let's just import a new asset and then find it here. Dropbox to the assets pack, audio music, and take the percussion space music there. I don't know why that didn't want to drag and drop. That shouldn't be a reason for that. Okay, cool. And notice that all of the audio files in this pack are compressed already, meaning that they are ready to play in your game. I mean, I've tried and set up the settings so that we get good quality, but the files aren't ridiculously large or anything. Good, so we can hear it in here. Yeah, and that sounds awesome. And we're just going to leave all of these settings. Then we can find our audio manager and expand this array. So we already have the respawn here, and I want to change this to simply music for now. We might need a separate system for blending between different music tracks at a later point, but for now we're just going to drag this in as a sound. So drag in the clip there, change the volume to something like, I don't know, 0.4 maybe, and the pitch at 1, and we don't want any randomness on this whatsoever. Then we can double click on our audio manager, and in the start method we can simply call the play sound music. There we go. So if we go ahead and try this out, hit play, we can hear the music playing in the background now. So that's perfect. Another thing that we want to do with this music track is have it loop, and that's actually an option for the audio source. So if we go up here, where we kind of have this class called sound, where we define some different properties that we want to be able to change for a sound. Well, we can make a new property here. Let's make this below everything else. And this is simply going to be a public bool whether or not we should loop the sound. So we're just going to call it loop and default it to false. Then down here, when we set the source, because this is not going to change when we play the sound, but it's something that's going to be constant for a sound, we can set it down here. And we are simply going to say source.loop equals loop. And it should be that easy, actually. So that's awesome. Another thing that I want to do is have our have the ability to actually stop a sound from playing. So we're going to make a new public void here called stop sound. It's going to take in a name, and instead of sounds i.play, we're going to say sounds i.stop, and then we can simply scroll up here and add that method up here. So instead of public void play, we're going to have a public void stop, and it's simply going to call that on the source. Later, we can maybe add some kind of fade out method here or whatever. That could be a parameter. You could add a fade out time, something like that. A new track to transition to. The possibilities are endless, but for now, this is what we're going to do. So now that we've added that in, let's just test this by, let's say, making a quick test update loop here. And we are simply going to say that if time.time is greater than 5 seconds, then we are going to say stop sound music. So we should hear our music stop after exactly 5 seconds. And we also want to check looping here. So just gonna quit that. So click loop on that and hit play. And it should stop right about now. Good. So that's perfect. And you can see here that if we inspect our sound 1 music here, you can see that it's set to loop now. So that is all very perfect. Cool. And that's kind of all I wanted to do with our audio manager today, at least. So next sound that we want to add, well, I think we should go ahead and add some kind of hover sound to the play and quit button. So let's go under our menu manager and let's add some method here. One called public void, maybe on mouse over. And this is simply going to play a sound. So therefore we need a reference to our audio manager. So we're going to have a void start here. Oops. Where we cache that reference. So we are going to have an audio manager. We're just going to call this audio manager. And in our start method, we're going to say audio manager equals audio manager dot instance. And if audio manager is equal to null, well then something has went terribly wrong, and we're just going to go ahead and throw an error here. So debug.log error, no audio manager found. Good. And we're going to be using this piece of code a lot, so I'm just going to copy it to my clipboard, and then I'm probably going to paste it later. So what we want to do here is simply say audio manager dot, what do we want to say? Dot play sound, and then we want to give it the name of the sound that we want to play. And this is simply going to be a hover animation or a hover sound. And I have some pretty cool sound clips for that. But I think to make it easily changeable, we are going to go in here and add a public. Let's make this a serialized field actually. So serialized field string. And it's simply going to store the hover over sound. There we go. And that is going to be hover button hover by default. And then here we put the hover over sound. Something like that. Cool. So let's minimize that. We should see the field appearing here now. There we go, the hover over sound, button hover. Then in our audio manager, we're going to add in a new sound. and this is going to be the button hover. We're going to drag in a sound from our sound library, and this is going to be the button hover. Simply, and again, this is not working. I'm just going to go ahead and import a bunch of sounds here. I think we should have the button hover and the button press. Really? Okay, we can only go one at a time. That's going to be annoying. So you can hear it here. Just this very, very short sound. And simply add that to the audio manager there. Drag that in. The volume seems fine. The pitch at 1. Random volume of 0.1 and a random pitch of 0.1 and no looping. That looks good. Then in our menu manager, that's set up correctly. Good. What we can then do is go into our canvas, select the play button, and down here under the event trigger, you can see that I've added this component earlier. So basically we want to simply hit add component here, event trigger. Then we add a new event type. This is going to be the pointer enter, and that's going we are then going to add an event. We are going to add the menu manager to that event and call the function on the menu manager called on mouse over. Then we're also going to have another one in a minute for whenever we press a button. So that's all we wanted to do with that, and we need to remember to copy that over to the quit button as well. But we can just have a listen. So we have this very subtle hover over sound, and I think that's actually really, really nice. I want to just make this a bit more clear, so something like 0.55 will be better. Let's also make another sound for actually pressing the button. So let's call this button press. We're going to import yet another sound, and this is going to be the button press sound. Then under audio manager, we drag that in there. The volume is probably going to be the same. You can just have a listen to the sound here. Cool. Actually, it's a bit louder, so I'm going to have this at like 0.45. The pitch at 1, and I don't actually want any randomness on this. And remember to have it not loop. Let's apply that. Go under our menu manager, go into the script here, and we're going to make another public void here, which is going to be the... Actually, we could just call this through the start game and quit game, which I think we're just going to do. We could make a separate method that we call, but there's really no reason to. So let's just have another serialized field. This is going to be the press button sound. And this is going to be button press. There we go. And we're simply going to call, maybe before we do that, so audio manager dot play sound, and it's going to be the press button sound that we want to play, and we're going to do the same here. Cool. So let's save that, head back into Unity, and we are already calling these events, so we don't actually need to do anything except copy this component over to the quit button as well. So you can see I have the event trigger there. We'll just delete that and paste component as new. Good. So save that, apply that prefab, hit play, and we should hear hover over sounds for both of them and a press sound. And you can hear how all of the audio transitions to the new scene without any glitching. Cool, so next up is probably some shooting, some explosion sounds, maybe some footsteps when we land or something. Let's just go ahead and continue into the next scene. So let's open up our main level and let's add a shooting sound. So on our player, under our arm and then pistol, we have a weapon script. Let's go ahead and double click this to open it up. And you can see in here that down here we have a method called effect, where we spawn all of our effects. And right after we shake the camera, I basically want to play some audio. So here, play, shoot, sound. And this basically happens as with any of the other stuff. We could have different sounds for different weapons. And therefore, I think we should have a variable up here with the name of the sound that this weapon uses. So let's go ahead and just make that very quickly. We're going to first have a serialized field. Actually, we've just made everything else public. Let's just do the same here. So public string, and this is going to be the weapon shoot sound. And it's going to default to Glock or default shot. Let's just make that. So we have this for now, and we can always add to this. Just default shot will do. And then we're going to have a reference, of course, to the audio manager. We should actually go ahead and just say caching. And here we're going to have the audio manager. And in the start method down here, we say audio manager equals audio manager dot instance if audio manager is equal to null. Then we have done something wrong. So debug.log error, freak out, no audio manager found in scene. Cool. And then down here, we can simply say audio manager dot play sound, weapon shoot sound. Good. Let's save that. Say back into Unity. Let's see what we have here right now. This is set to default shot. That's perfect. Let's make a sound with that name under the audio manager. You can see how all of the settings have updated in here because we made it into a prefab. Let's change that to 5. Make a default shot. Let's actually import the audio. So import new asset. Let's find the one called shot. Let's just listen to it. This very short pop sound. We then go into the audio manager, drag in the shot. The volume is going to be, I don't know, 0.7 maybe. A random volume of 0.1 and a random pitch of 0.1 is going to be fine. And let's try and apply that. So let's hit play. That is perfect. So now we can actually shoot our enemies and hear what's going on. Next up is an explosion sound. So I'm just going to go and collapse these there. And let's make the explosion. So 6. And this is going to be simply explosion. You can always make more. Let's drag in some audio. Import new asset. Find the one called explosion. And I really like this one. Kind of very old school, a bit pixelated explosion sound, but it sounds so satisfying when we apply that to enemies. Good. So let's drag that onto the audio manager. Explosion. The volume is fine. Maybe even 0.8 on this one. We're just going to keep it. And yeah, all of the settings are just fine too. Then we can go ahead and find the place in our code where we kill off an enemy. And I believe that's in the GM script actually. So if we go under our game master here, we can find the place where we kill the enemy. So kill player, kill enemy right here. So you can see that we instantiate some death particles. We shake the camera. We should actually go ahead and just add some comments here. Add particles. Go camera shake. Let's play some sounds. Good. And the sound is again going to be dependent on the enemy. So let's go ahead and add that variable to the enemy that we have passed in as an argument up here. So let's just go enemy dot let's say audio manager, and we have that reference set up for from earlier videos. So audio manager dot play sound, and then we're going to say enemy dot death sound name. And that's going to work just fine as long as we remember to find our enemy under prefabs here. Let's just take the alien spaceship. We have our enemy script here. We are going to go in and create a new variable. We have the all of the stats. It's not what we want. We want one down here, which is going to be a public string enemy death sound or death name. What did I call this? Enemy sound name, death name, game master, death sound name. That's fine. We're just going to go with that. Death sound name and default that to explosion. And that was basically all we needed to do there, I think. So that is working. That looks good. You can see here that explosion appears. There it is. Let's try it. So play. Let's get some enemies to shoot. That's perfect. And notice it also plays the sound if the enemies hit us without us killing them. So first, okay, so this is weird. For some reason, it waited a bit before spawning something there. Okay, that's a bug we might need to check out later. Doesn't look game breaking, but definitely annoying. So you can see it also spawns an explosion there.
3,
oh yeah, and the respawn still works. Good. So the next thing that I want to do is add some kind of audio feedback for whenever our player takes damage or dies. So let's go ahead and import 2 new audio files. We're going to import new asset, and first off we are going to have the death voice and also import the grunt voice too. So the death voice here is something I want to play whenever our player dies, and the grunt voice 2 is something I want to play whenever our player takes damage. You could, of course, since there are 2 grunt voice 2s, play one at random, but I'm just gonna play this. It's very simple to do that kind of randomness, and frankly, I think you know how to do that by now. So that's completely up to you. So let's find our audio manager. And let's make room for 2 new sounds. First off, we have the death voice. And then we have the grunt voice, or let's just call this grunt voice. Let's just call it grunt. There we go. Drag in the death voice. And drag in the grunt. And the volume here, things should be like 0.5 and this one like 0.4 maybe. And don't want any randomness to these whatsoever. A bit of random volume on the grunt maybe. There we go. So let's apply that. We then go under our GM again, because that's also where we kill our player. No. Let's do this in our actual player script. I would like to have it sit here, because what we can then do is play the sound dependent on whether or not we die, because that's handled right here in the damage player method. So let's just set up some references here. We're going to have a, see there, I didn't remember to delete these. We have the public string death sound name, and I default that to death voice, and a public string damage sound name, and I default that to damage voice. So let's just use that, and that's fine. Instead of damage voice here, we have grunt. Good. And then we want to set up a reference to the audio manager. So we're going to have a private audio manager. And again, in the start method, we said audio manager equal to audio manager.instance if audio manager is equal to null. Debug.log error. Panic. No audio manager in scene. Good. And then under the damage player, we say if stats.current health is less than or equal to null, meaning if we've died, well then we kill the player, and we also play the play death sound. We call audio manager dot play sound death sound name, and down here, if that did not happen, so else, we play damage sound, and it will play this no matter what has damaged you, and no matter no matter what. So either if we take fall damage, if we implement that at some point, that's going to apply here. If we die from our own missiles in the future, that's also going to work, and that's fine with me. So let's do audio manager dot play sound, and this is going to be the damage sound name. Good. And let's just inspect our player here and make sure that those two variables appear. And they do, but we have to change this to grunt. So let's apply that prefab, collapse the scripts there, just get rid of all the warnings. We can ignore them. We will fix them in a future video probably. And I think all else should be working now. So let's try and play. Wait till something damages us. Perfect. And then in a moment, we will die and hopefully hear something else.
Respawning.
That is perfect.
2,
Good.
1.
And you will notice that also if I jump down,
Respawning.
we hear the same
2,
death sound.
1.
So that's perfect. The next thing that I want to add is a sound whenever we spawn again, because we have the respawn countdown, but we don't really have any sound to kind of follow it up. So that's the next thing that I want to add. Also, we should have something for the pause menu or the game over menu, and we should probably have some kind of game over sound, but I'm pretty sure that I've actually already have something in here. Death voice, game over.
Game over.
That's perfect. So we'll add that to the game over screen. We have a bunch of different things still to add. So first up, let's add the spawn sound. So if we find our GM object, go ahead and open up the game master script, you can see that we have this respawn player. We play the sound respawn countdown, then wait for the spawn delay, and then we instantiate the player. Well, I want to change this just a bit. So instead of having just a spawn sound name here, I want to kind of change the terminology here. This is going to be the respawn countdown sound name. Yeah. That way we don't get confused. And then down here, we're going to have the spawn sound name, and that's going to be a separate variable up here, spawn sound name, and this is going to default to spawn, and this is going to default to respawn countdown. Alright, so now that we have set that up, we can just go ahead and add that to the actual audio managers. Just make sure that everything looks correct here. Respawn countdown, and the spawn sound name should just be spawn. So let's apply that, find our audio manager, add in a new sound here, and also under respawn, we want this now to just be, or this to be respawn countdown. Yep, and this just to be spawn. And again, we want to take our audio folder, import a new asset. The asset that we want to import is spawn. Cool. And let's just drag that into the correct slot. The volume is going to be something like 0.6. The pitch is fine, no random volume and no random pitch. So let's apply that, hit play, and see if it works.
Respawning. 3, 2, 1.
That's perfect. Okay, just so we get some kind of feedback that our player has actually spawned. So that sounds super awesome. The next thing that I want to create is some sounds for the game over menu. So let's find our UI overlay. Let's find our game over here, and let's see where we actually spawn this in. So we have the game over UI. This simply has, again, two methods, one for each button. We're going to make a new one here. This is going to be a public void, and it's going to be called on hover on mouse over. There we go. And in here we're simply going to play a sound. So again, we want to create a reference to our audio manager, and I'm just going to steal that from up here. So that here. Cool. So we have an audio manager called audio manager, and we have a void start method where we do that. Good. Then down under the on mouse over, and again we want to probably create some kind of field for this. So a serialized field. This is going to be a string. Mouse hover sound name if you want to, and that's just going to be equal to button hover. And down here we call audio manager dot play sound, mouse hover sound. Then under the quit and retry, we want to play another sound. So that's going to be another serialized field, and this is going to be the string button press sound. That's going to be equal to button press. There we go. We add that here, button press sound, and we add that here. Perfect. And now we go under our game over, find our retry button or our quit button, add a new component, which is going to be the event trigger, add a new event type of type pointer enter, hit the plus sign, drag in the game over objects, go under game over UI and hit the on mouse over. There we go. And let's just copy this component and paste it over here. Good. And we can just go ahead and hit. This is not a prefab. So that was basically all we needed to do for that. Let's just hit play here. Actually, let's test this out when we have also got the game over sound working. So under our GM object, here we need to add another sound. And if we go under the kill player here, we can see that destroy remaining lives. If remaining lives are below or equal to 0, then we want to end the game. So we should have a method here called end game. Indeed we have, where it simply says game over and we get the game over UI. Well, I want to add the game over sound here. So again, up here, let's make a short variable here. This is going to be the game over sound name, and that's going to be game over. And we simply want to say audio manager dot play sound game over sound name. There we go. Then we go into our audio manager. We have the spawn sound there. Well, now we want to add the game over sound. So let's hit 10. Go into audio, import new asset, game over, audio manager, drag it in. You get the idea by now, hopefully. Game over. A volume of, I don't know, 0.7. And everything else is good. So let's try that. Play. Just gonna jump down a few times here.
3, 2, 1. Respawning. 3, 2, 1.
And it should happen now.
Game over.
There we go. And we get the correct sounds here, and if we hit quit, we can hear that, and also if we hit retry. Perfect, and we're back in the game. So that was exactly how I wanted it to work, and I think that the game feels a lot more interactive now. The very last sound that I want to add is a sound for whenever we land after having jumped, because currently there are no sounds attached to the player other than the fact that we sometimes shoot. And sometimes it can feel nice if you have sounds when you collide with different things, just a few sounds around the environment. So I'm going to add some kind of landing sound, just some footsteps whenever we hit the ground. So let's go ahead and import that sound, import new asset. Let's find the landing footsteps, and you can listen here. I really like this sound. Then we go under the audio manager, add that one too. This is going to be the landing footsteps. Drag the sound in, and I think 0.6 is probably correct, maybe a bit less. You should really be more careful with the mixing than I am here. I'm just trying to get all of the sounds in here. This video is already ridiculous and probably split into 2 parts. Anyways, so we're gonna have a random volume of like 0.1 or 2, maybe even, and a random pitch of 0.1. And we can just apply that, and that's basically all we need to do with the audio manager. Then under our player, we should have our platformer character 2D script. This is what controls our movement, and this is a very long and confusing script, but I'm going to show you exactly where we need to go in and change things. First off, we need to add a serialized field up here. And this is simply going to be a string, again storing the name of our landing footsteps. You could just hard code this in if you wanted to. So landing, landing sound name. That's going to be equal to landing. Did I capitalize that? Landing footsteps. I've been programming for too long. Yeah, so that was capitalized. Let's just do that, close it off. And then in our fixed update, we'll quickly store a boolean called was grounded and set that equal to grounded. And then down here, we're going to say if was grounded is not equal to grounded, meaning that our state has changed, and grounded is equal to true, meaning that our state changed from not on the ground to being on the ground. Well, then we want to play a sound. And again, we want a reference to our audio manager for that. I don't know if I want to go in and actually cache this. Just for good order's sake, we'll do it. So let's have an audio manager. God, I've done this many times today. Audio manager, and then in the void start method, say if or audio manager equals audio manager dot instance if audio manager is equal to null, debug.log error. This is why we write error messages. There we go. No audio manager found. This way I will be so thankful if this actually throws an error. Good. And Y is with an H. There we go. And then we down here say audio manager dot play sound, and the sound we want to play is the landing sound name. Good. Save, jump into Unity, close that, clear that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully, yes, we hear some landing footsteps whenever we hit the ground. Nothing loud, fairly subtle. They might actually be too loud already, So I'll change them down to 0.5. And then we'll call this a day. That is it. We've successfully added sound to our game, made it sync between scenes, transition beautifully, all of that. It's a very easy workflow for adding sounds to your game. I mean, just look at how much we were able to accomplish at this fairly low amount of time. So thanks a lot for watching. I will just mess around with this for a second, and then I'll see you in the next video.
Respawning. 3, 2, 1.